4:10 a.m. We're charging at the Tesla supercharger. No fancy cameras, just my old iPhone 13 Pro here. Lots of peace, even in the times that we're in now. And I saw this spider that was on that I thought was on the windshield, a white spider. And I looked a little further and I realized it's on the inside. So I grabbed it, I tossed it out the window. And I just thought, not to get too deep or philosophical, but a lot of times we think that the interference or the forces that affect us in such a negative way that cost us being us. Do you ever look in the mirror and realize that with all your will, this gets into a lot of conceptual things that are talked about broadly today, not only in physics, but psychology and neuroplasticity, um, and that is how involved, how deterministic is the universe, how deterministic is the outcome of what we do and what we will through our own lives. So I'll be getting in a huge day of work today, and I'll also be hitting the gym. I've hit the gym every single day, and there's more of a campaign going on in reference to my own son. Watching my 28-year-old son go bald. He's got gray hairs popping up. He's been special needs for quite a while, and he's been on meds for quite a while. Just when you think about what medications are, and Lilly and DuPont, I've known about this for years, and I couldn't do much about it because when he would go off the meds, he would act completely crazy, go AWOL, and be in another 5150. So a lot of what controls us is slightly existential, and we really need to be practical in the ways that we can control. And that's why I'm a huge advocate of exercise, and not only exercise, but supplementation, and namely orthomolecular nutrition is so important for the state of mind that you're in. You're always under attack. There's always forces that you can't see, that you're not aware of, that are attacking you. And instead of getting too psychosomatic or too physics oriented, which I find a lot of people doing, um, I can follow along with a lot of the academics, but I obviously don't have the education. But when I'm listening to them, like Lee Smolin and other people talking about physics, I'm following pretty damn closely. I'm understanding it. As long as there is some sort of explanation, like Kurt Jamungal on theories of everything, based around what their propositions are. And that's the whole point, is that there's a lot of confusion with nomenclature and entomology, just the naming of things. And it's about names, places, times, events, and you can change the entire world, I believe. And the world, I mean, that's kind of a preposition and a proposition, right? To where we're looking at the world in a euphemistic sort of way, but it's our world that we must positively affect. And when we start looking more locally, and I think that's what's missing, is where there's this subject of free will talked about broadly. And I'll even ask people, throughout the day when I have conversations, what do you think about free will? Most people think it's all deterministic. And I think largely that could be said is true, but I think locally within our own lives, we have more control than whatever these strange powers that be, these pervading strange powers that are obviously being looked at through the disclosure around the world. Uh, when you talk to people these days, there's more than a few that have had very bizarre experiences, and it's always localized. In other words, it's always part and parcel to their lifestyle, their outlook, their event, but we're all on sort of this track that we don't decide to go on, and we look around us and we think this is so bizarre, you know, this has nothing to do with who I am. And then when we begin to assert and exercise, literally, physically exercise ourselves, change our state of mind with good nutrition, good supplements, taking in that water, walking mile after mile, whether you're inside or outside or on a track, you push yourself. And that's what I'm desperately trying to impress upon my son, um, before it's too late, which I don't think it's ever too late. And I don't want to get spiritual in that. And there's not much that I know. And that's the whole strange point behind this, is that, you know, the amniotic fluid, I've heard people um, look at that as, you know, amnesia, that it sounds so similar that we come into this world not remembering anything, yet we seem to be trying to recall something, right? So I'm not inferring that reincarnation is real or not real, or re-embodiment, if you want to call it that. And I'm not refuting it. But what I am saying is there's something more as far as what track we're on, how much control we have. And I think control is probably the worst term to use, to be quite honest with you. I'd say it's more about will, which trumps control, right? Because it's not just whimsical, it's not just something that we do on the fly in the moment. Will is something that uh, we feel like we own. We feel like nothing else can pick up on our thoughts like a radio broadcast. We feel that it's like literally it's a feeling. It's something that comes from that ganglionic mass, you know, behind your solar plexus. And it, you know, the more we want it, the more it becomes heightened into our vocal cords and our visual centers, our optical centers, and our hearing, and our senses are affected greatly by this. And it takes a great amount of will to get yourself up at 4 or 3:50 a.m., to knock yourself out using melatonin, to stay on carnivore or ketosis or whatever dietary path you choose at the moment. Um, these are religious practices. And when you get into the gym early in the morning, today I'll be going in later. And I may even try a couple of very small sessions today, because that's what I did with GIT training, gradual intensity training, continuous training, where I started out with a mile, if you remember, 2 miles. Then pretty soon, you know, I'm looking back at months and I've gone 14, 1,500 miles. Well, the same can be said with, you know, resistance training. You have those lines of, uh, you know, basic machines, and you can use them in a variety of different ways, like I would with clients, where, you know, I'd take the seat out from underneath me altogether and cross my legs and stand there supported on one leg. And now, when I press ipsilaterally or unilaterally, or contralaterally, I'm focusing in on different core muscles. And the heavier I go, the more influence different sort of, like they work like lattice work, like, you know, your obliques and other musculature, quadratus lumborum, multifidus. All these different muscles have to come into play that normally would not. And then you get your breathing in sync and you start to realize I can do this. So those personal challenges, that's what I urge. You know, that's the message of today, if I could give one, is that when you are exercising your free will, when you are exercising, you are the arbitrator of your own pain. And I've said this before: if you don't influence your pain greater than whatever it is outside of you that you feel is causing you pain, then you will feel that pain even more, and it'll affect you even more. But there's something really strange that happens when you are that arbitrator, that afflictor of your own pain. And that pain is something, no pain, no gain back in the 80s, dating myself, but what the hell? I'd rather be an X generation from that generation and be involved with the things that I am as far as what I think, how I see the world, and how the world is kind of like stacked up from using digital Casio watches and keyboards to, what we have now. But here, the technology that we're dealing with, at least for now, until Neuralink spreads out to more than just a few people. There's just one person right now that's, you know, billably 100% interfaced, right? That has come out, and supposedly it's affecting them very positively. But what else would you expect, right? They're going to quash all the statistical data that you see on, with the accidents from. I got kicked off this thing, by the way. It said I was abusing the autopilot, and it said you can't use this till the 14th. So, I'm all about. I personally feel like technology is way further beyond even what we're exposed to as far as pervading society. I think we're at a much higher level of technological prowess than is given credence or credit for. But anyway, I just wanted to leave you with something very positive before I go on along with my day. We got 2 more minutes remaining on the charge. We try to hit. We've got a short range Tesla that we're driving right now, and the short range. I'll tell you, if you are in the market, you will end up spending half the amount on charging every single month. When I've driven the long range, it's twice the amount. It's over $1,000 a month if I'm using superchargers, and around $500 per month in the US, California, when I just use the short range. All right, Rogue Beast Warrior out. Peace be with you.